Well, hey there. Growing celery doesn't have to be complicated, expensive, or reserved for gardeners with perfect soil and endless patience. If you've ever tried growing celery the traditional way and ended up with thin, stringy stalks or plants that bolt before they ever fill out, you're not alone. Many gardeners, myself included, learned the hard way that celery is both thirsty and picky. It demands consistent moisture, rich soil, and a method that keeps it happy from sprouting to harvest. But what if I told you that you don't need fancy irrigation, raised beds, or complicated watering systems? What if all you needed was something as simple as well water, a plastic can, and a smarter way to plant celery that works even in hot, unpredictable climates? Today on Soil Stories, I want to show you the method that changed everything for me, one that produces thick, crunchy, beautiful celery even in small spaces. Let's dig in. If you've struggled with celery before, you're not alone. Celery naturally grows in marshy, consistently moist environments. That means it wants steady water, not flooding one day and drought the next. Many gardeners unknowingly stress their celery because soil dries out too fast, especially in containers or sun-exposed garden beds. On top of that, celery is a slow grower. It needs about 120 to 140 days to mature, and any kind of stress, heat, dry soil, poor feeding, forces it to bolt or stay thin. So the secret is simple: consistent moisture plus rich organic matter plus a planting method that protects the roots. That's exactly what this method does. You may have seen gardeners using plastic bottles to start seedlings or create mini greenhouses, but the plastic can method takes this idea to a whole new level for celery. Using a 3 to 5 liter plastic can, or jerry can, you create a vertical grow chamber that retains moisture far better than open soil. The can acts like a controlled microenvironment. It reduces evaporation, moderates temperature around the roots, and keeps the soil moist for longer stretches, something celery absolutely thrives on. The result? Thicker stalks, faster growth, less stress on the plant, and, surprisingly, fewer pests. It's almost like growing celery in a self-watering pot, except you're making it yourself from everyday containers. Start with a clean, sturdy 3 to 5 liter plastic can. The goal is to create enough depth for celery's long roots to establish without drying out. Cut off the top portion to form an open planting container. Make sure the opening is wide enough for easy watering and airflow. Then prepare drainage holes at the bottom, not too many, just enough to prevent waterlogging. Fill the container with a rich, moisture-retentive mix. Celery doesn't want dry, sandy soil. Aim for something dark and lush. Compost is your best friend here. If you can add well-rotted manure or vermicompost, even better. To improve moisture retention, mix in a handful of cocoa peat or leaf mold. Celery loves soil that stays damp without becoming soggy. Once you prepare the planting mix, moisten it thoroughly before planting. Think of it like wringing out a sponge. The soil should be wet but not dripping. This gives your celery the perfect start. Now let's get into the planting itself. If you're starting from seed, sow them shallowly, not more than a 1/4 inch deep. Celery seeds need light to germinate, so don't bury them. Just press them lightly onto the moist surface and mist gently. If you're transplanting celery seedlings from another container, be very gentle. Celery roots are delicate, and rough handling can stunt growth. Make a small hole in the can soil and place the seedling in, just deep enough to cover its base. The beauty of the can method is that you don't have to plant many. Even a single celery plant will thrive in one container, growing straight upward with plenty of root space and stable moisture. You may have wondered whether well water makes any difference, and the truth is, it does. Well water tends to be less chemically treated than tap water. There's no chlorine, fewer additives, and often more natural minerals that plants love. Celery especially benefits from calcium and magnesium, which well water often contains. These minerals support strong stalk formation, crispness, and healthy leaf growth. When you water your celery consistently with well water, you're giving it a more natural hydration source that supports healthier growth. It's almost like feeding the plant from a living spring. But even if you don't have well water, don't worry, rainwater works beautifully too. Celery cannot tolerate dryness, not even for a few hours in extreme heat. The plastic can method helps you avoid that, but you still need to water regularly. Here's the trick: water gently and consistently. Don't flood the container, and don't let it dry out completely. The can retains moisture extremely well, so you'll find yourself watering far less than if you planted celery in an open garden bed. If you want to take things a step further, you can create a mini self-watering system by placing the can inside a shallow basin. Just don't submerge the drainage holes. This setup allows the soil to wick moisture upward as needed. Celery is a heavy feeder. If you want thick, crunchy stalks, you must replenish nutrients regularly. About 3 weeks after planting, start feeding with a liquid organic fertilizer. Compost tea, seaweed extract, or fermented plant juice works perfectly. Feed every 2 weeks to maintain steady growth. Avoid synthetic fertilizers if you can. They promote quick, weak growth that makes the stalks hollow or soft. Organic feeding keeps the plant balanced and strong. You'll also notice something interesting with this method. Because the plastic can concentrates the root environment, nutrients are absorbed far more efficiently than in open soil. This not only boosts growth but also reduces the amount of fertilizer you need to apply. Celery prefers cooler temperatures. In hot climates, direct afternoon sun can stress the plant and cause it to wilt. To avoid this, place your can in an area with morning sun and afternoon shade. If you can't provide shade naturally, create it. A simple piece of shade cloth or even placing the planter behind another object works well. The key is to let celery enjoy light without overheating. You'll see how much happier and greener your plant looks when protected from harsh heat. And because the can retains moisture so effectively, the roots stay cool even when temperatures rise. One of the joys of this method is how clean and neat harvesting becomes. Since the plant grows compactly in a controlled container, you can harvest stalk by stalk, or take the whole plant at once. For continuous harvest, cut the outer stalks first, leaving the inner ones to grow. This gives you a steady supply of celery over several weeks. If you prefer a full head, wait until the center thickens and forms the classic celery cluster. Cut at soil level and enjoy the crispest celery you've ever grown. You'll notice the difference immediately. Firm stalks, deep color, strong aroma, and incredible crunch. The plastic can method solves celery's biggest problem, inconsistent moisture. It gives the plant a protected environment, steady hydration, nutrient-rich soil, and manageable conditions even in challenging climates. You don't need expensive equipment, you don't need a big garden, you don't need complicated irrigation, just a plastic can, good soil, well water if you have it, and a few minutes each day. This is the kind of gardening simplicity that Soil Stories is all about, growing more with less, using what you have, and making the garden a place of discovery and joy. If you found this helpful, make sure you subscribe to Soil Stories, hit the like button, and share this guide with another gardener who loves learning smart, simple ways to grow better food. Your support helps us keep creating practical, evergreen gardening resources for everyone. Happy growing!